Howdy, howdy. Welcome on into the pre-show before the free show. Man, it has been a hot minute since I've sat in the producer's chair. Feels so good to be back, though. I can tell you that
It's
right
Mallory
now.
Hartley, ladies and gentlemen. Give
It is.
Up. Give it up. You're not supposed to clap for yourself when people say give it up.
Well, you said give it up, so I had to do it.
That's fine. Hello. Pickle's out. Mallory's in.
She is, yeah.
Getting younger at that position.
Yeah.
You had a trip this weekend.
I did.
I
did have a trip.
Had a trip. You were on the road. You went to Michigan.
I did. It's funny. So, just before I talk about that, our flight was full to Detroit.
Sure.
And my dad was like, who in their right mind wants to go to Detroit in the middle of February?
That's a great point.
Because we both got middle seats.
Oof.
Yeah, so that was hard. So we were like, hopefully this won't be a full flight and we can kind of sit maybe in the window seat if it's not a full flight. But it ended up being a full flight. But we were like, who in the heck goes to Detroit in the middle of February?
It's an
degrees.
excellent question. Many people are asking who would go to Detroit in the middle of December or middle of February, rather.
Right.
The answer apparently is a lot of people. Is that correct?
Yeah.
At least a fair amount of them?
And I think it's because we've just been cooped up for so long that people are just now starting to feel comfortable traveling again. So I think they're just like, hey, what's a cheap-ish Detroit, let's go right now. So I think that's kind of what we kind of came up with, but
right. Okay.
Not everybody was going there for the Michigan State basketball game.
But you were going there for the Michigan State basketball game.
I was,
you
yes.
Were.
And even though the results were not the way that I thought they were going to be, and I know
Go ahead.
this...
Just go to meet the camera. ILL. Go on.
Anyway.
Sorry, for those who don't know, my dad went to Illinois.
Yes, yeah, and of course,
so I grew up with the soft spot for the Illini, even though I'm a Mizzou Tiger and they are like rivals. You know what I mean? But like, there's, I don't know.
Now, did you watch the game? You did?
No.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you didn't because
No.
Okay, so the game was fun. It was good.
It was back and forth.
The first half was not close. I mean, it got to, I think, 14 or 16 point deficit at one point, and of course Illinois was up, and I was like, oh boy,
here we go.
I was like, this is gonna be a long day. Ended up cutting the lead to about 2 at some point in the second half, which was great. It was exciting. That atmosphere is just absurd. It's insane. Everybody was on their feet. The student section just covered the bottom of the pit, and it was just a really great environment. I'd never experienced a college basketball game like that before. It was insane.
Like a big-time college basketball game.
Right. Now, of course, I've been to lots of North Texas games, and that student section is growing. The fan base is growing, and that's really exciting to see. But
it's
as a staple of a program as Michigan State basketball is, it was really cool to experience that.
Michigan State, I'm not a college basketball guy.
Yeah, I've seen your tweets. You're not a college basketball guy.
I'm not a college basketball guy.
No.
But Michigan State has won national championships?
2.
Before?
1979 and 2000.
Okay. Got it. I was saying WON, but yes, they have 2 state national championships under their belt. One under Izzo and one under other guy, right?
Yeah,
okay.
I can't remember who his
I was
going to
say. Yeah, I seem to remember Michigan State being pretty good at basketball pretty much every year. Is that fair to say?
Right. And yeah, I mean, they're on like some streak right now. They made the tournament, NCAA tournament, like 20-something years in a row or whatever. They're on some weird streak. So they're generally a good team. This year's a little different. We're not as good as we have been in the past.
Now, I understand because I did see your Instagram also.
Yes.
I heard you met a celebrity.
I did.
And I don't mean your father, who I think is a celebrity.
Yeah, I did go to the game with my dad, but the real celebrity that I met was Michigan State's head football coach, Mel Tucker.
Wow.
And the story about it is the craziest. So we get into East Lansing about 10 or 11 p.m. on Friday night. Of course, we go straight to the hotel, go to bed. We get up early. My dad and I get up early the next day, and because we want to walk around the campus or drive because we're not walking in 13-degree weather. We drive around the campus. We got up early, so we haven't had any contact with anybody at this point, right? Except the front hotel guest or the hotel front dude, whatever. And so we get on the elevator, go down to the cafe because there's a little cafe inside the hotel, right? Still haven't had any contact with anybody. There's nobody in the lobby, right?
So you're in your hotel.
Yes.
You're going down to the hotel lobby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Haven't talked to anybody. We walk in to this cafe, and as we're walking in, Mel Tucker is walking out. I literally run into him. My dad goes, "Holy cow!" And when I heard him say that, I look up, and I was like, "Coach Tucker!" I literally got
bumped into Coach.
I literally bumped into Coach Tucker. So I said, "Hey, Mallory Hartley. I work for Dave Campbell's Texas Football."
Well done. Get the brand out there.
I did. I got the brand out there. I said, "We're a Texas high school football company. You follow us on Twitter. Can I get a picture?" And he was just like, "Yeah, of course." Great, fantastic guy. He was probably creeped out that I was so into this picture. I was freaking out.
You're fangirling a little bit.
Exactly. But, like my dad and I were talking, what are the odds? The first time I ever go to East Lansing and the first person we see is the
like
head football
the second
coach.
most famous. Like Izzo's the most famous person in East Lansing, right?
I would say so.
Yes.
I
mean, he's been there a long time.
Right. 20 plus years.
He's the most famous, but Mel Tucker's second. Mel Tucker's the second most famous person in that town.
Right. So it was a big deal that
Maybe Kenneth Walker's up there too.
Kenneth Walker's
probably
up there.
third, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed with your knowledge of
Thank
this.
you.
I really am. That makes me feel good.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry about the game. I really wish that would have been a much better game, but I'm happy for you that y'all won.
I'm sure my dad was happy. I don't care.
Yeah,
but
you still gotta like him.
Yeah.
You still cheer for him. So it was a good trip.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad you had a good trip.
Thank you.
And now you've come back here and it's 80 degrees.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to drop this week. Did you see that? I'm like, oh man, I guess I brought the cold East Lansing weather down to Texas.
Yeah.
So.
I was meaning to talk to you about that. All right, hit the theme expo. Pickle. Hit the air sign. Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas. It is Texas Football Today, a show coming to you free on the internet. My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us, whether you're watching us live on TexasFootball.com, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter, on all of the things, or you listen to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She's everyone's Mal pal.
Yeah, to think about it.
It's Mallory Hartley. Yeah, I didn't call you Pickle.
I'm going to count how many times you call me Pickle.
I bet I don't do
That's
it
at least maybe once or twice.
Well, welcome in. Thanks for filling in.
Thank you.
We went to the bullpen. Pickle's out doing Texan Live stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay, she's doing Texan Live stuff. So, yeah, that's why Mallory's here. So, if the show feels fresh and cool and new...
I just bring a young presence.
You just bring a young presence, not that old,
washed pickle.
Absolutely.
And
when I
pepper.
think of, let's be honest, the youngest feeling people in this office are me and you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say me, but
I'm saying me and you.
Just me, though.
That doesn't seem important. You're really missing the point. Today is Monday, February 21st, 2022, 376 days until Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele is like 42 today from Key and Peele.
Key and Peele.
And,
love Key and Peele.
And he did Get Out, and he's doing he's like a fancy director now. You know, he's got an Oscar and an Emmy.
Really?
He's halfway through to the EGOT.
Man, those are my childhood.
I'm 1/4 of the way to the EGOT.
Yeah.
Do you think I'll ever get a Grammy or a Tony? I don't.
You got a couple Emmys. You're good.
Episode 1335. On today's show, or 1336,
yes.
I should say. On today's show, friends, we've got headlines from across the state, including a flurry of Texas high school football coaching changes. Big ones, including 3 state champion head coaches who changed job statuses last week. We'll get into that. And then back half of the show, we're going to be joined by the head coach of the Burton Panthers. Coach Jason Hody will join us to talk a little bit about his Panthers' rather strange season. They have the weirdest record of any good team in the state. They finished 5-9 last year, but that's not really telling the whole story. We'll get into that. They had forfeit a bunch of games. We'll talk with Coach Jason Hody about that coming up here at the back half of the program. Do we have first four through the door?
We sure do. It was Aaron R. Buckle, Miss Terry Adams, Rob Hadaway, and Terry Crawford. Welcome in, fellas and lady fella.
Welcome in, fellas and lady fella. A lot to get to today, starting with headlines, Malpal. We've got headlines from across the state of Texas.
Lots of them.
And a lot of them. I sent them to you. In an email, and I said, don't worry about making a lower third for each of these. That feels like it would be a bit excessive.
I grouped them in together.
Because there's a lot. That's fine.
Yeah.
We'll start with the news. We'll start in the college front, and that is, I don't know if you guys talked about this on Republican Football, the podcast that you are producer.
We sure did. We did.
Dave Veranda. Has gotten his
tongue twister.
It's Day Veranda. He's gotten a contract extension from Baylor through the year 2029. Now, last year he was making about $3 million. We know that just through finding out about it. Baylor doesn't have to tell us how much he makes because Baylor's a private institution. So we don't know. I don't think. I haven't seen the figures.
I think I looked it up to see if there was any information about it, any details, but I couldn't find anything.
I think it's fair to say he got a raise. And I think it's fair to say that we know he's extended through 2029. They've announced that, but they don't have to announce his salary. But Dave Aranda has gotten an extension through 2029 after taking Baylor to a Sugar Bowl win.
Much deserved.
I would say probably well deserved. I would like an 8-year contract extension in a giant race. That feels fun. Being a college football coach seems fun until it's not.
Right, it does.
That's the best way to put it.
Sounds like a good job.
It
you get
feels
a lot
like
of
a
perks.
good job until it's not, and then it's a bad job.
Yeah.
And then you don't have one.
Yeah, but we did go into depth about this, so if you guys want to listen to more about that, go to Republic Football. Last week. It was last week's episode on Wednesday, so if you want to hear more in depth about that.
Our college football podcast that's sweeping the nation.
Yeah.
I don't have any data to back that up, but just go with it.
Go with it.
Okay. Into some high school coaching changes, and we'll start with the 3 state champion head coaches who changed jobs this past week. We'll start with the one that I think probably caught most people by surprise. We mentioned it briefly on Friday's mailbag show, but Steve Huff is going to be the new head coach at Decatur. Steve Huff is leaving College Station, where he, of course, took them to a state championship in 2017. They lost in overtime in the state championship game this past year. He is going to be the new head coach at Decatur, moving from College Station up there to Decatur. And perhaps you are thinking, why? Why would you go do that? There's a couple of reasons from what I understand. One of them is that I know he's got a lot of family in Oklahoma, and so he wanted to get farther north. That's one thing to keep an eye on. The other thing, or the one thing to keep in mind, the other thing is that I believe he's going to get to be, he has pretty close ties with the new, or with the Decatur ISD superintendent, Chad Jones, Dr. Chad Jones. Decatur's in a bit of flux. Decatur's at a weird job right now. You may remember a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, or June. God, Lee, it feels like it's
it
been
all
a million
runs
years.
together.
In June, they more or less ran Mike Fuller out. The school board did the school board thing where they were just, it was small town politics at its worst. They ran Mike Fuller out despite being pretty successful. They promoted Ty Lang, who served as the interim coach for 2021. He will not be the head coach. They opened it up. They brought in Steve Huff, the head coach there at College Station. I think a lot of what he's going to need to do is just kind of settle the waters. That's a big job for him to do there, but certainly a successful head coach and a state champion head coach as Steve Huff is moving to Decatur. Let's now go to Marshall. Marshall has made a head coaching move. You remember that Jake Greedle is out there at Marshall. They have gone and picked up another big time. Jake Greedle left to go to Bastrop. They have a new head coach. It is Jack Alvarez. Jack Alvarez is, of course, leaving Cuero to go be the head coach there at Marshall. He is a well-known name, a state champion head coach. He's got a state championship at Ennis. He led Kirbyville back to a couple title games back in the late 20 aughts. Yeah, the 20 aughts. He spent 2 seasons there at Cuero. After his first year was okay, his second year was boffo. They go to the state semifinals there at Cuero. I would say this is probably a bit of a surprise, but at the same time, Marshall's a good job, and Cuero is now a very good job on the market. So Cuero is open as Jack Alvarez is leaving to go take over at Marshall. And finally, this came down late last week as far as state champion head coaches are concerned. Todd Peterman. You may remember Todd Peterman as the guy who helped lead DeSoto to their state championship back in 2016. They go to there's another weird thing in DeSoto. Made the wrong people mad there in DeSoto. He says, okay, I'm just going to leave. He goes to Fort Worth Brewer. He has now resigned there at Fort Worth Brewer. They were pretty good in 2020, made the playoffs, and then 2021 they go 8-3. In the first round of the playoffs, but he is going to resign there. It's a Brewers pretty attractive opening, I would say. They've got good facilities. It's a good spot in the Metroplex. But Todd Peterman is leaving Fort Worth Brewer, resigning there. So Fort Worth Brewer is now open. They're at west of Fort Worth. Okay, other coaching changes. Reported by our own Matt Stepp. Although I believe it was someone with the Wichita Falls Time Record News up there that got it first, that Coppell is going to be making a hire. They're going to be hiring, pending board approval, they'll be hiring Antonio Wiley, the head coach at Wichita Falls Hershey. I am a Coppell grad.
I was going to say, are you excited about that?
I'm a Coppell grad, and so I had a lot of people blowing up my phone saying, who's this guy, what's his deal? This is about as close to a home run hire as I think it can be for Coppell. I think that Antonio Wiley is one of the best young up-and-coming coaches in the state. What he's done there at Wichita Falls Hershey is remarkable. Remember, they came within basically like a play of playing for a title game this year, playing for a title this year. They have been sensational. He was on our 40 under 40 a couple of years ago, back in 2020. I think this is a home run hire. I've been telling all the Coppell folks, I'm like, this is big doings. Like, there's a lot of reason to be excited about Antonio Wiley.
It's an attractive job too.
At
Coppell.
Coppell. It is.
It's a good area.
It's a good area. It's a good area. They got great facilities.
Yeah.
If somebody can give them that spark, they can certainly go and win. One thing to keep in mind, though, I think people, one thing to keep in mind about Wichita Falls, if you don't know what's going on there, Wichita Falls has 3 high schools right now. Or there are 3 high schools. Right. I think City View is its own school district. Okay. Wichita Falls ISD has 3 high schools. They have Old High, they have Ryder, and they have Hershey. Okay. They're going to close all 3 of them in 2 years. All 3 of them are going to close, and they're going to open. They're building 2 brand new buildings that they are going to consolidate those 3 high schools into 2. I think
nice.
They have very boring names. I love you, Wichita Falls. They have it's like Memorial and Legacy or something like that.
Very basic.
Very basic. At least for now. One like on the west side of town, one on the east side of town. They're going to consolidate 3 schools into 2. So for Antonio Wiley, I think he was looking at Hershey and being like, well, I don't know what my status here in Wichita Falls ISD is going to be. If I have an opportunity to move up to a 6A job in the Metroplex, maybe it's a good move for me. So that's one thing that I considered there was Wichita Falls Hershey's kind of status for their future, but Antonio Wiley, pending board approval, will be the new head coach at Coppell. Cowboy fight never dies. LaPorte has hired Pasadena Dobie's Kevin Bernithi to be their next head coach. LaPorte's an interesting job. When they're really good, when they've got a couple of cats, they're really, really good. They've been down a little bit there. He has some ties to Kevin Bernithi, who's done good things at Dobie, running the wing T offense. He's done some really good things. He does have some ties to LaPorte. He was an assistant for Coach Jeff LaRoe for a couple of years, but he takes over there. He's 33-10 at Pasadena Dobie. Nothing an attorney knows about Kevin Bernithi, going to be the new next head coach at LaPorte. Lubbock ISD made a couple of hires this week, or last week rather. That would be, first of all, at Monterey. Lubbock Monterey has hired Duncanville defensive coordinator Jed Thrash, our buddy Jed Thrash, who's done a great job as Reginald Samples' defensive coordinator the past couple of years, is getting a chance to be a head coach once again. He was head coach at McGregor for a couple of years. He had assistant coach jobs at Lake Travis, Westlake, Rockwall Heath. I mean, he's got a great resume. Now defense coordinator at Duncanville. He will be the next head coach at Lubbock Monterey. Also, Lubbock Estacado has hired. You may remember that that Joe Cluley took another job, went out east to Mount Pleasant. Sorry,
I always get Mount Pleasant and Vernon mixed up. I was like, which one is
East
it?
Texas mountains.
Yeah.
Where's Mount Calm? I'm going to look that up. Anyway, that's
off topic.
Off topic. They have hired offensive assistant coach from Fort Penn Hightower, Will Blaylock, to be their next head coach. He's got ties to West Texas. He was a West Texas A&M guy. He played at Tulane and Baylor for a spell. He's been on the staff at Hightower, but also kind of largely in the Houston area. He's been a valued assistant. Twitter kind of blew up when he got this head coaching job. A lot of people excited for Will Blaylock to be the next head coach at Lubbock Estacado. Dallas Skyline, really once the jewel of Dallas ISD. When they had Reginald Samples, they have made a hire. They are bringing in Jacody Coleman to be their next head coach. Jacody Coleman has, for the past couple of years, been the defense coordinator at Humble Atascocita. Big doings there. He's been there since 2012, been the defensive coordinator for at least the past couple of years. But Jacody Coleman's going to be the next head coach at Dallas Skyline. Skyline's an interesting position. Dallas Skyline, if you don't know, they're a magnet school, so that they can technically draw from all of Dallas ISD.
That's awesome.
The part of why I think Reginald Samples was able to have such great success at Skyline was that he was able to kind of like leverage that unique position as a magnet school to turn them into a powerhouse. But Jacody Coleman will be the next head coach there at Skyline for the to come forward 2022. Killeen Chaparral is a school that's going to exist in 2022. They are opening a new school in Killeen. Killeen Chaparral is the name of the school, and they have made their first ever hire of their first ever head coach. It is a familiar name to people in Central Texas. It is Alan Hare. Alan Hare has most recently been the head coach at Salado. He's done fantastic work there. He is from hometown of Salado, but he's going to get an opportunity to kind of launch this program there at Killeen Chaparral. He's 132-92 overall. He runs the slot T, so I would have to imagine the slot T's coming to Killeen Chaparral, which for a young program I think is a good thing, generally speaking. But Alan Hare is going to be the next head coach at the new school there in Killeen. Speaking of new schools, Frisco Panther Creek, another Frisco school. Frisco Panther Creek. One thing about them, before I get into who they hired as their first head coach, they apparently have their mascot up for a vote, and it's apparently between the Panthers.
Which would make sense.
Panther Creek Panthers. The Pumas. There are no Pumas.
I was going to say, there aren't any Pumas.
Or the Pythons. And
are there any snakes?
Yeah, the cobras and the vipers.
Cobras. Okay. Oh, viper. Yeah.
A few more. There, but very low number of snakes. Rattlers, right?
Yeah.
The handful of rattlers.
I'd go with pumas.
I think
There's a lot of panthers.
I think they've got an opportunity to do a little different. I want them to stay away from Panthers. Anyway, all that's to say, Clint Surratt is going to be the next head coach there. He, of course, has been an assistant head coach there at Frisco Lone Star under Coach Jeff Rayburn. Jeff Rayburn has a lot of great things to say about Clint Surratt. He's going to be the next head coach at Panther Creek, which is going to be a full-fledged varsity program in 2022. They're in a district, right into the fire. They got to figure out their school colors and their mascot. We don't know anything about them except their name and their head coach, Clint Surratt. Finally, as far as coaching changes are concerned, before we give a call to Jason Hody at Burton, you may remember a couple of years ago a pretty remarkable story coming out of San Antonio. at San Antonio Memorial. San Antonio Memorial head coach Kemi Lewis helped lead them to they won like something like one game in the previous like 3 seasons or something like that. And in 2017 he led them to their second ever Kemi Lewis led the Minutemen to their second ever playoff appearance. Their first district title ever. They'd won one game in the last 2 seasons. He was our DCTF 5A Coach of the Year in 2017. He is on the move. He's going to be the new defensive coordinator at San Antonio Harlan, the 6A ranks. So San Antonio Memorial is open. Kemi Lewis is on the move. We'll save the other thing for later because we want to make sure we get Coach Hody on. But we'll talk a little bit about the TSWA All-State teams, which were announced last week. Those are headlines. We are at Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF. You can like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. TexasFootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, and recruiting all across the Lone Star State. Hope you'll consider becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber at TexasFootball.com/subscribe. That's our subscription package. 2 magazines and a year's worth of exclusive online content, including great stuff at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. Trying to get, you can also go to TexasFootball.com/merch to get some Dave Campbell's Texas Football swag in your life. TexasFootball.com/merch and TexasFootball.com/subscribe are the various ways in which we hope you will invest in Dave Campbell's Texas Football, is a nice way to put it. Efforting to get Coach Jason Hody on the line here from Burton. In any case, I do not appreciate this Photoshop that Ryan Dunsmore made of me and a bear. I don't like that. Anyway.
You can talk about our merch.
I did.
Oh, you did already?
Merch. Yeah,
do that.
You would make. You can make Mallory and Pickle very happy if you go purchase a fanny pack. The fanny pack was very important to them. It's
such a girl thing, you know?
I know.
Like fanny packs. Now we've got a couple of girl items too. Like I think also what's very popular is a like the half cropped sweater.
Yeah,
that's really popular right now.
I don't get that because I'm just a dude,
right?
And it seems very hip with the young women. Is that fair to say?
It's hip.
Okay.
It is hip.
Would you wear it?
Oh, that's the first thing I ordered.
Oh, really?
It is. Now I obviously can't really wear that into the office because it's cropped, you know. But I'm gonna probably order a T-shirt as well, because that I can wear into the office. Mm-hmm. Okay, now I have a question for you.
Okay.
I've only bought one thing.
Yeah.
Do we have to pay for our merch? Is that like one thing we got to pay for our merch, our own merch?
Listen, I don't control the. I do not control the purse strings around here. You know what I mean? That's what you know. You'll have to take that up with Adam.
I can't afford my own merch.
Okay. That's fine. Anyway, TexasFootball.com/merch is where you can get merch from the Dave Campbell's Texas Football crew. TexasFootball.com/merch. We've got mugs. We've got cups. We've got... a lot of y'all have bought pint glasses, and I think that's telling. I can see what you guys... I can't see who buys what, but I can see what is our best sellers. I think the pint glass is the best-selling thing we have.
I have a story about pint glasses. You want to hear it?
And here are the story about pint glasses is Mallory Hartley.
Not really a story, but we're collecting pint glasses. We kind of just started that in my household.
Who's we?
My parents.
Okay.
Not me, really.
Rhonda?
Yes, Rhonda. Not really my dad. My dad didn't care. But we have a bunch of pint glasses, and it started with, it was like a present, I think at like Christmas or something, and it said like our last name on them. It says Hartley, obviously. And so now we're just kind of collecting. We've got a couple of Michigan State ones. I got one from North Texas. And so now my mom's like, oh my gosh, I have to get a pint glass because it just goes with our collection really well. So my mother is probably going to be ordering lots of pint glasses.
Okay.
So
I do not, as far as your question about whether or not you have to pay for your own merch, you got to take that up with the boss man. And you know I ain't the boss man.
You ain't boss man.
We're attempting to get Jason Hody from Burton on the phone. I texted him. But coaches are busy, and especially at 2A.
Oh, for sure.
He literally may be like teaching a science class because they needed a substitute.
Probably.
So I understand that.
I texted him. He's definitely excited to do it. I mean, I texted him. I was like, "Hey, coach, I'm gonna be calling you." He was like, "Oh, perfect," But he's probably just busy.
One thing, since we shelved this in headlines, I can talk a little bit about the Texas Sports Writers Association All-State teams, which were announced this past week. And you're probably thinking, boy, that's really late for late for an all-state team. And you're right, but I also think that the TSWA is the gold standard for the all-state team. And so I'll get a piece up on there on TexasFootball.com because Jason Hody's calling us. Anyway, we'll talk a little bit about that coming up here in a little bit. Maybe after the show we'll do a post-show. We'll talk a little bit about. Anyway, TSWA all-state teams were announced this week. We'll talk a little bit about the players of the year and stuff like that. There's that. I'm vamping. This is me vamping. Mallory, let's go to the hotline, and let's welcome in the head coach of the Burton Panthers. We're joined by Coach Jason Hody. Coach, how are you?
Good, man. Good.
I appreciate you taking a little bit of time. How are things in beautiful Burton, Texas?
Oh, they're awesome. I'm actually in San Antonio at the livestock show and rodeo. My kids
Nice.
are showing pigs, man. So
Okay, that's a great place to start because this is going to be my last question, but it'll be my first.
okay.
You are an excellent football coach. It's an opinion. You are apparently an even better pig shower. Is this correct? Does your true passion lie as far as raising and showing pigs?
Well, I get that question all the time. I like to think I have a passion for both. It's who I am. I'm a football coach and a pig guy, and I can't put one over the other. They both bring me so much joy. So. Well, that's kind of where I stand on that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like, as far as down there in Burton, this is livestock country. You guys are doing big things because I know one of your star linebackers was also like he's showing cows and cattle and stuff like that. Do I have that right? Is it fair?
No,
to call?
you are correct. He Waylon Hinsey is not only he shows heifers and wins a lot. And he was also on the national champion judging team, second in the nation, won the state title here in Texas with their livestock judging. So yeah, it's a unique community. We love our athletics, but we also love our livestock also, and so we have to juggle both, but we do a great job here, and it's awesome.
Well, I'd say you guys have done a great job with both. I can't speak to the livestock thing. I'm a dummy when it comes to that. I have been told I know one thing about football, and I know that you guys have been pretty good recently. I want to ask you a little bit about your 2021 football season, which was a strange one. You are the team that I had to continue to throw an asterisk on when people were saying, why is their record so weird? You guys had to forfeit 7 wins during the course of the season. So you guys finished with a 5-9 record, but actually you were 12-2 on the field. I'm interested in, from your perspective, at how you when the decision came down that you had to forfeit those wins. What was the message to your guys? Knowing full well that the road got a little bit tougher then.
Yeah, the message was tough. It was a very, very tough message that I had to give to them. Probably the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life in general is look at 40 young men and tell them that some of their hard work got taken away. And from the start, our school, our administration, our team, our community, nobody pointed a finger at any one particular thing. The incident was unfortunate. It was something that we didn't see coming and definitely didn't wish upon ourselves. But we moved forward, and that was the message. I said these life is about today and tomorrow, and you can't look in the past. I think sometimes in athletics we can hang on our failures and our successes, and we can't move forward with much success. So we always look forward. That's what we did. It's kind of funny you mentioned Waylon Hinsey. He was kind of the team leader. He stood up in the room and said, and not so many words, let's go win 2 more games and get in the playoffs. And that's basically what we did. And, thought our team responded real well. Couldn't have been prouder of them.
I was going to say, because it seems to me that the real headline there was you guys went from comfortably in the playoffs, let's go win a district championship, let's lock things down, to suddenly playing for your season functionally every single week. Did you notice a change in the sense of urgency among your boys?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we played. Every good football coach talks about being physical, and we were a little angry those 2 games, and not at anybody in particular, just angry at the situation, and therefore we played with a lot of urgency. I thought our practices were very upbeat. The games were very physical, and then it kind of took an emotional toll on us. It was kind of we had to win the two, then we had to get a little help, and then but from that standpoint, we responded well, and you always learn a lot about people during the tough times. Good times we can all are easier kind of to get through, but the tough times I learned a lot about our guys that I already kind of thought I knew, but it just solidified it, and it was just a really good group of young men to overcome that and do what they needed to do.
Talking with Jason Hody, the head coach of the Burton Panthers here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TFToday. Coach, one of the things that obviously you guys were able to make that run in the playoffs, and a couple of the big reasons why were your quarterback and your running back. Ryan Rolling, the quarterback, was so special for you guys. And then your running back, Pearson Spice, who I thought really grew as the season went on. When you take a look at what you guys were able to accomplish offensively, I have to imagine that it starts with what those two guys were able to do.
Yeah, I mean, they were a big part of our success. Ryan, he was a very good game manager and could make some throws that we couldn't make the last year, and I think that was the big difference. We were able to get some throws made on third downs throughout the season, and he was really big in the first opening round game against Cristobal. That was a tough first round matchup for both of us, and he really came through in the fourth quarter, made some big time throws to keep some drives going for us to come back and win that game. And then Pearson was a tough runner all year long, and we're more of a ground attack offense, and so it takes a toll on him sometimes, and just having Ryan there to be able to throw the ball was a big plus.
Coach, a couple weeks ago we got UIL realignment looking into to 2022. Yeah. Surprise. You guys are dropped into District 14, 2A Division II. You get joined with Fall City, the team that you met in the regional final last year, and Yorktown. A few other really good teams. When of the teams, in fact, of the 7 teams, 6 of them made the playoffs last year. Were you surprised whenever you cracked open that packet a couple weeks ago?
I was the most surprised, and this is a funny story too. We didn't have school due to some ice and the cold weather, and I live my other passion is pigs, so I had to hand water all the mama sows at the farm, and so that's what I was doing when I got the message. I actually got the message from Coach Kerhoff at Fall City. Basically, that's how I got the news, and it was pretty surprising. I would have to say I was very surprised.
And so you're in there, District 14, 2A Division II. Kind of I guess you'd call it a Brazos Valley, Coastal Bend, South Texas district. When how does this affect your program? How do you talk about this with your guys, knowing that, hey, look, you're going to go in there and be playing some of the very best teams in the state right away?
I think as you sit back in your first thought process is, oh man, that's tough, but I think at the end of the day, I think, from a football standpoint, I think we kind of are going to relish the opportunity. Just to be in battle tested each week, and if you can overcome that and get through that and get in the playoffs, it's going to help you moving forward. I mean, Fall City's a great program, and the other schools are emerging as well. And so, just having to do that, being involved in that week in and week out, having that mental urgency that you have to come each and every week prepared. I think sometimes it's good for your football team. On the flip side, it can be physically draining as well. But we're looking forward to it. It's something new. That's for sure. And I think sometimes new can enhance excitement and a little more motivation as well.
Finally, let's get back to the important talk. Let's talk about you're in San Antonio for the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo. What would represent success for Burton there in San Antonio? What are we aiming for? What's a good goal for this week?
Well, we just had my niece, which is a Burton student, just had the champion Duroc.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's a very, very impressive feat considering the magnitude of this stock show. So that was a huge success for us, and just kids have been doing good and performing at a state level here, and I just think just the fact that we're represented, our community that's a success, the biggest success we can have. So it's been good. We've been blessed, and it's been super fun.
He's Jason Hody. He is a pig. Pig shower? Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, you can call me I'm a pig guy.
Pig guy.
And in the livestock world, either a cow guy or sheep guy or pig guy.
He's Jason Hody. He's a pig guy. He's also the head coach of the Burton Panthers. Coach, appreciate your time. Best of luck there in San Antonio, and look forward to seeing what you guys do in the fall.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.
There he goes, Jason Hody, pig guy, and head coach of the Burton Panthers. I was going to ask him. I always like to have. I don't know. People who watch this show probably know my playbook's pretty easy. I like to have one kind of lighter question to finish things on. And so it's going to be about how the fact that he was, he raises show pigs, and he, does that. And there's a great story by Mike Lucas down there at KAGS down in College Station, Brian, about him doing show pigs and stuff like that. And so I was going to ask him about it. And sure enough, right out of the gate, he's like, well, I'm here doing the show pig thing. I'm a pig guy. I'm like, all right. Moving that question up to the beginning.
He was like, I called him. He was like, hey, sorry, I didn't see your call. Like, I'm outside right now. Is this going to be on video? And I was like, oh, no, Coach, we're good. It's just going to be on call. Like, no big deal at all. But he was outside.
I'd like to see some of those pigs, though. Like see some.
We should have FaceTime. That would have been kind of cool.
That would have been good.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
I don't think we have that technology.
Not yet.
Anyway, obviously the big news there was that they're moving into a district of Falls City. You want to talk about a lot of the. I would say that's at least 2 of the 3 best teams in Region 4. They're, depending on what you think of like Chilton and Dehanus, but to have those in the same district. And then, by the way, don't sleep on Yorktown. Yorktown had a great year last year. So should be a lot of fun there. Burton and Falls City in District 14, 2A Division 2. We know they're going to go at it with the vigor of a pig man. We appreciate Coach Jason Hody joining us. Let's go over to Mallory Hartley for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
Okay, I have 2 things. One, Rob Hadaway likes your sweatshirt or your sweater.
Yeah, shout out to the birthday boy, Matt Wilson.
Yeah, he said, okay, he was like, what is it? So
yes, this is City of Arlington. It says Arlington Sports Commission. We crown champions. Our buddy Matt Wilson, who had a birthday boy yesterday.
He did. Did you see the selfie that we posted on Twitter for him?
No,
Pickle posted it. It's such a good selfie. We took it at the Cowboys game.
Matt Wilson's good people.
He is good people.
Matt Wilson's good people.
Yeah.
Man in a cowboy hat. Levelland's finest. Sorry to Lyle Leong, but Levelland's finest.
All right, my second thought. Yes. So I was thinking about this when we were talking about all the coaching changes. Now, if you could coach anywhere in the state of Texas, where would it be?
Oh, so like if I could, first of all, it would have to be a program that I don't feel bad driving into the ground.
Yes. Basically, yeah. So if you could coach anywhere.
So you're asking like what the most attractive job in high school football is?
I mean, yeah, but also you can base it off of like area too, or town, city.
Look, like honestly, so I've gone on record that my favorite part of the state is the Big Bend region. That's cool. I make no bones about it. So if like I could go and coach like Alpine, or go and coach at like, I think this goes back to this. I think I could talk my wife into living in Alpine. I don't think I could talk her into living in like Marfa or Marathon or like any of those like real small, like Sanderson or any of those real small towns.
Yeah.
I don't think I could she couldn't live in Terlingua or anything like that. But I think I could talk her into living in in Alpine. Because Alpine's got Sol Ross, so I could just say we can get season tickets to everything at Sol Ross, which they have an unbelievable baseball stadium too. Yeah, I think I would go coach at Alpine, and again, I'd be a terrible football coach, terrible football.
Yeah,
coach.
Probably.
Yeah,
you'd be a softie.
That would be my problem.
Yeah,
my problem.
You're a softie.
My problem, I would have a hard time. What I admire, I admire a lot of things about high school football coaches. One of the things that I admire about great high school football coaches who can walk that line between like discipline and like loving on kids, because that's tough.
Right.
That's real tough. And I think great coaches will tell you that they screw it up sometimes. But to walk that line, I just don't think I could do that.
Yeah. Don't blame me. I couldn't.
I think I could draw up some fun plays, but like I do not think I could like get a team ready for a Friday night.
No.
But I would love to do it in Alpine,
Texas. In Alpine, Texas. Love it.
It's going to do it for us. Hey, Malpal, thanks for filling in.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at TCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbells. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbells. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Thanks again to Pigman, Jason Hodde of Burton, for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please. No, I did it.
That's
I almost
one.
made it to the end.
All I had to do was look at you and you knew.
Literally the dismount. Literally the dismount. It's just,
You stuck everything else except the dismount.
verbal, just bleh. For Mallory Hartley, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow on Texas Football Today. So close.